Now, how would you like to learn how to paint this lovely common blue butterfly, all using the pen and wash technique? So get ready to get those pens going and also those brushes wet. Let's get started. First thing to do is get the outline drawing onto the paper. That's using some graphite back paper, usually the shiny side down. Slide that between the printout from the reference photograph and the watercolour surface like so. Then using a mechanical pencil, this is a 2H lead, just go over the lines all the way around and any main ones you can see on the inside as well. I'm not going to draw this area out here, I think I'll leave that one off. And just work on the main flower in the middle. Once you've traced that out, what you'll end up with is something like that there. If you want to draw this freehand, you can do obviously, or use a grid system instead. It's entirely up to you. Size 01 waterproof pen. This one is by Pilot, the Pilot drawing pen. There you go, that's the one in question. But there's a variety of different ones on the market you can use. Another good brand, by the way, is that one there, which I do occasionally use as well, is the Sakura Pigma Micron 6 fine liners. Really nice pens here, they really are. I might need to use one later on, but we'll see. The paper I'm using today is cold pressed and it's by Bockingford. It's a £140 paper, so quite nice to work with. You can use hot pressed paper for a smoother surface if you want to, but I prefer the texture that you get when you work with pen and wash on cold pressed paper. As for the techniques, what I'm going to do is use a very light line with a 01 nib, like so, and that's just used in that sort of angle. If you hold it lower down by pushing your fingers higher up the pen, then we'll end up with, so you end up with that sort of angle, is grazes. So just graze the paper. I'm not putting too much pressure on the paper either. And we can use that technique for some of the lighter areas around the butterfly. And already you can see the difference between this area here and something, if I just cross hatch it, like so. And then the same on the other way. That looks really dark, doesn't it? But you can see that the ink within this pen is exactly the same as when I hold the pen in that direction, ish. Not vertical like that, something like that. Sort of normal writing sort of angle. So you can use the pen higher up like that, lower down like that, and depending on the areas will depend on the style we'll be using. I don't know if I'm using cross hatching like that, but I might just be filling in certain areas and working with sort of a grass effect, especially around the centre of the body of this butterfly. And what we can do, we can start off towards the edge of the wing, looking at the lines and the shapes we can see just there, look. I got my pen sort of angled down like that. See how high I'm holding my pen? So I'm not holding it like that where it's going to be nearly vertical, not quite. I'm holding it much further away. So therefore I'm just grazing the edge of the nib. Now because we'll be using watercolour with this as well, you do want to make sure that your pens are waterproof. Not permanent markers or anything like that. Just waterproof pens. The pen shouldn't move. You don't want it blurring, do you? Work your way around the outside edge. Don't make that line too dark. Nice and pale like that though. Look at the angles these lines go in as well. Think about a clock face and they're aiming towards between, what would you say, 2 and 3 o'clock direction. Around there. But the higher up you go, they do change direction a little bit, don't they? So that's going more towards 1 o'clock. Around there. Then work your way around the butterfly. Just around the edge for now. And remember to keep looking at that reference photograph every few seconds. At least that way around you start to remember it a little bit more. You start to add those details onto the paper. So just ensure that you got that photograph directly in front of you. Or by the side of your painting. Whichever way you want to do it. Oh, and if you're wondering who took the photograph, well, it was me. Hello. And for that I used a small camera with a macro lens. Try to ensure that your reference photograph is the same size as your drawing. You'll find then you won't be tempted to draw too many details out, because you can't really draw what you can't see, can you? Now here's the fact for you. Now the common blue is the most widespread blue butterfly here in Britain and also apparently Ireland. And you find these butterflies in very grassy areas. The one I'm painting here is obviously a male, and that's because of those lovely sort of purpley blue colours that they've got. Now down here in the southwest of the UK, you find the female wings are much duller in colour. However, that can also depend on what area they are within the UK. Some of the females then could be very similar to the males. You find the head is very tricky because it's small. I know, it's tiny, isn't it? Really, really small on there. So just be careful when you start to draw the details out, and don't try and put too much pen on, because if you put too much ink on the paper, you'll find that any colours you put over the top won't stand out enough. So err on the side of caution when you're doing this, and just be very careful about how much ink you put on that paper. Now, there's a lot of detail in there, isn't there? But you've got to be careful how much detail you put in. As I've already mentioned, if you put too much pen work on there, you find that the colours will not stand out enough. So, what I'm going to do is first of all use the side of the pen again, the very side, the very edge of that nib. Just graze over this second line here. Just graze it, following the same shape all the way along. And the further it goes along there, the closer it gets to this line here. Just very lightly tinting that paper. Again, it's exactly the same ink. You're just being very careful how much you put on the paper, that's all. Very careful. That sort of adds a little bit to it. They've got the lines in between again. The pen is on its side, or nearly on its side. Not quite. Can't draw like that, can I? I've got to draw like that. And just bring a few lines down from the edge of that wing. Just a few here and there. There aren't that many darker marks, are there? When you look around this pattern here, you find this darker line is not black. Sort of what would you say? Like a deep browny grey. But because of the nature of the pen and wash, I don't want to go into detail using the colours. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add this line in, but leaving plenty of little tiny gaps in between. So quite dotty in a way. And to do that, all I'm simply doing is scumbling. But thinking about this sort of scallop shape all the way along. So what I mean by scumbling is I'll over-exaggerate it so it's larger and make it darker as well. Is that sort of thing. That's sort of a scumble. But I'm doing this in a very minuscule way like this lot. And even lighter with the side of the pen. Not that light. Like that. That's really light, isn't it? And then if it's not dark enough, I'll just bring my fingers down that pen a touch further. Then add a few more in as well, like that. So carry on working along this, doing the same thing for the scallop shape. Think about the humps you can see as you work your way along. Looking a bit too sort of curved there at the moment. I need a bit of a hump around here. And another one there. And bring it down like that. Do the same on the other one as well whilst you're at it, okay? Now the plants that this beautiful butterfly tends to favour is a common bird's foot trefoil. And that is their main food plant, because we do see quite a lot of the bird's foot trefoil around the fields here. Do note that this black line, well not quite black, you know what I mean though, gets lighter the lower down it goes, so bear that in mind. This side I'm going to scumble, or this area here, because on the photograph you can see it's quite pale, isn't it? Just scumble it and leave plenty of gaps in between. Remember, we're going to be adding some colour over the top of that. And we do need that colour to stand out. Plenty of gaps, and this edge here is quite broken up as well. So you can tap like that, little tiny dots, little stipple marks. And you can see how high I'm holding this pen at the moment. If you do want some dark areas, just make sure you bring your fingers down a little bit further. Kind of creep your fingers down that pen. And then add a few more details over the top, just slightly darker. Stipple, scumble, playing with both techniques. Let's work on this wing here. And I'm going to very lightly again, just go down the lines you can see within the wing. Using the side of the pen. It's quite amazing really when you start to build up those details. The way that the tonal values can change. You know, so we've got the lightest areas, the really light areas, and so far the edge here, mid-tone for the ends of each wing. Then the darkest tone for this line going around here. So already we've got 3 different tonal values on the paper. So again, I'm starting off with the lightest tone by angling that pen down again. Looking for the patterns you can see within those wings, okay? There's quite a lot there. But also we need to try and minimise how much we draw. Because if we draw too much, you know what will happen, like I mentioned earlier on, the colours will not stand out. So trying to get a happy balance between detail and also the colour. So look at the angles you can see within that wing of all these individual lines and just keep them nice and pale. Once you've got those on, we can start to have some detail within the wing as well. you will find the majority of the detail is more towards the top parts of the wing. So each individual section you can see here, that's where we can see all them tiny dots within those sections. So you can create those just by very lightly stippling. Using nearly the side of the pen again. I've not changed that angle for a while now, but I may do when I need a darker area, especially around the body of this lovely butterfly. Well, that'll do for one wing. Yeah, that's enough I think. For now, we'll see. The best way of looking at that really is when you've got fresh eyes. Take a break for 10 minutes or so. Go and put the kettle on or something like that. Okay, and come back with those fresh eyes. Then you can decide if you need to add some more detail within that one wing. How about a factoid or two? Here we go. The wingspread average is around 35mm. And you tend to see these beautiful butterflies between May and October. Have you noticed the way I'm increasing the dots and the marks for each individual section? Well, just about every section anyway. Instead of just sort of stippling the lines, which as you can see here are quite curved, what I'm doing, stippling the lines as I mentioned, but when you get towards the edge of the wing, stipple slightly wider areas, just to there, and again on the other side, just slightly wider. I'll do another one here, I think, so we'll have another one around there. Then just to the left and right hand side of that curved line, a few extra marks, just to change it a little bit more. Just adds to it, doesn't it? And these marks do tend to spread a little bit within the wing, just on the left and right hand sides, once again, you know. And then the same on the top one, but slightly less so. Notice how it curves towards the edge of the wing there. So now what I need to do is work on that body. Now that's where the contrast is in there, isn't it? You can see it's really dark in places, but only in places in the centre. But we have got lighter lines shining through as well. So we need to make sure that we've got those in place as well, okay? Do notice as well that the way that the edge of the body sort of blends into the wing. Keep it pale to begin with by holding that pen higher up again. So just to have faint lines when it works. A bit more. And you can see the angle of these, they sort of go more or less towards 12 o'clock. Then you got some between 12 and 1 o'clock direction. Each one is curved as well. There's a gradual curve, that's all they are. They're not completely straight, are they? And I keep going back and forth as you work your way along the body. So get those lightest lines in first of all. Then, and only then, can we add the darkest lines in. The darkest marks. Ooh, I look forward to that. That is when we start to get contrast within the drawing. So keep it light to begin with, then go darker, allowing some of those lighter lines to show through underneath. Right, you ready to go darker? And this is where you can start to add in any of the darker marks you can see. I know there's quite a lot there, isn't there? Once again, vary the angle these go. Have you noticed as well, look, when you're just below halfway across, around there, they change direction there slightly. You got to really look closely at that reference photograph to see it. And vary in the direction of those lines as well. So lower down, they go more towards, what would you say, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock? Yeah. But each one's got a slight curve to it as well. And take your time. There's no rush. Nah, there isn't. It's done when it's done. I'm going to go for the other pens, again a size 01. But because it's different manufacturer, you find it slightly darker. There you go, 01. Get it the right way around, Paul, please. Thank you. And you find that the lines on this one now, if I hold it in a similar position, are much darker, only a little bit, and slightly thicker as well than the other ones for the 01 for the Pilot pen. So I want to use that one for the centre now. And you find it's actually blacker. Look at that. Oh yeah, that's better. If you do decide to use this painting as a greeting card, then you'll obviously need to cut it out and then stick it on the front of a blank piece of card. Or, if you think ahead beforehand, I didn't in this case, what you can do is draw it on the opposite side of the paper. What do you mean you've already started it? Oh, never mind. Do what I'll have to do then and cut it out instead, okay? Okay, then we've got the antenna. I've already got one over there which I've drawn in. Also that one there you go, that's the same one. You've got the black and white sort of stripe effect coming along there. Slight curve, so think about a rope. And then towards the tip of the antenna, see how it gets wider towards the tip there. Just there. Don't make it too wide, okay? Okay, now the same process really we're doing the Persicaria, because all you need to do is lightly go around each individual section that you can see. Every single one. As I said earlier on, I'm trying to just be careful to begin with, not go too dark, too quick. Oh, we've also got the legs here, haven't we? I want to draw on the outline of those. But there's a couple of little joints here and there, which could just very lightly, just tap in like that. The front one is actually darker as it bends around. So it comes around and bends, it's just darker there. There's a back one there which is really dark. So as I mentioned, go around each individual section that you can see, but very carefully. Using nearly the side of the pen. I'm holding this roughly about halfway down now. So it won't be quite as dark on the paper. Not yet, anyway. So if you're here in the UK and you find a very sunny, sheltered sort of wildlife spot, there's a good chance you may see one of these butterflies there, which includes places like coastal areas, road verges, and also woodland clearings. Even quarries, waste ground, golf courses, places like that are quite popular, even down to cemeteries. So there you go, that's another little factoid for you there. Okay, let's work on one bud at a time. So I'm going to darken down to the left hand side of the leg. So I'm laughing because I just said right hand side off camera. Yeah, what do I like? Left, right, yeah, okay. I'll get there eventually, you know, I really will. An artist's brain. Then gradually darken it towards the right hand side of this one section and lighten as you work your way higher up or towards the left. But still fairly mid-toning there, isn't it? Because of the fact that it's underneath the butterfly, which means that the butterfly is casting a bit of a shadow over the top of that. It's really dark in here, so I'm going to block that in a minute. Then we've got our other pen there as well. If you haven't got two pens, all you've got to remember to do is just keep going over the same line time and time again by bringing your fingers further down the pen so that you've got more of a darker, bolder line. Now I know these are pink, aren't they? So because of that, we will be painting them pink. We still need to show the contours there. This one here is darker at the bottom and it gets lighter as it goes higher up. But at the same time, you've got to think about the shape. We're going to stipple around here and scumble, stipple and scumble, just towards the darkest area. Then ease off those marks the higher that you go. Let's do the rest of these now, shall we? And then we can finally get the paint on the paper. I do look forward to that stage, because that doesn't take long at all. Not that you should ever rush a painting, as I said earlier on. What is your favourite butterfly? Let me know in the comments down below. Now when you get to the stem, it's not that much different really. Still the same sort of shape, isn't it? We've got the section in the middle, which is obviously another bud. So I'm trying to separate that from the rest of it so I can make sure it stands out enough. Slightly darker towards the centre, but don't put really dark marks in. We'll make it stand out with the colours we'll put in there anyway. All you've got to consider is the shape. If you do like what I do here on YouTube, please support me by clicking on that subscribe button down below. And also that like button, you know, the ones down there. It really does help for YouTube to see my content and show it to other budding artists like yourself as well. So do that for me please, just as a thank you. Now here's the fact for you. So if you're in the UK and you've got a grassy habitat with burstable trefoil within that area, there's a good chance you'll see one of these lovely common blue butterflies. Colours. I'm going to go for a mixture of, where's my brush gone? Ah, there it is. Phthalo blue, put that in there, let's get a little bit more pull. Little tip, when you're working on a painting, cover it up first. Yeah, it's obvious what's going to happen with these paints when the painting's underneath, isn't it? And ultramarine violet. So that lovely colour there. Oh yeah, I do like that. Probably a touch more. Because when you look at those wings, they're not just blue, are they? It's sort of a violety blue. Which is why I'm going to use these two colours together and see how well they work. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the same again, but this time a little bit more phthalo blue in there. For the Persicaria, I'm going to go for Opera Rose. Lovely colour that. Oh yeah. Alizarin Crimson. Now for the darker area, just along the wing here, it's more of a grey, isn't it? So for that, I'm going to go for one single colour, which is Payne's Grey. Always use an old brush to mix your paints with. Don't use your decent brushes with your very fine tips. They will soon wear away. Once again, nice and watery. And then we've also got this bud, this one down here, which is green. I'm going to go for a mix of olive green, which is that one there. Bring it around. There you go, you can see it now. A bit more, Paul, don't be so stingy. They don't call me Scrooge for nothing, you know, they really don't. Yeah, right. A little bit of lemon yellow, just to brighten it slightly. So first of all, the lightest colour blue. We can see the lightest blue around some of the lines within the wings. As you look around the body, there's quite a few lighter blue colours there, isn't there? So clean water. It's going to very lightly dampen the wing, first of all. Very lightly. Now because my pencil marks are very faint, I don't need to erase any of them pencil marks off the paper. But if yours are quite dark, before you start wetting it, otherwise they'll mix with the paint and dullen that paint down a bit as well, which you don't really want to do. Grab some of your blue. I'm going to drop this onto the paper. You don't have to be too accurate either. You really don't. I can see pink in there, you know. I can. The more you look, the more you see. I really can see a bit of pink in there. Just a hint of it in there, not much though. I'm just going to grab some more Opera Rose one. And just tap in. Just a small amount of colour. We'll blend that together in a minute. Just in places like that. Not too much. Remember, these wings are blue, not pink. Just a hint of it like that. Blend it in. So you can only just see it, can't you? That's got it. Oh, yeah. That's got it. Or do get excited when I'm painting, I really do. Then continue that around where your finger's needed, mainly covering those areas that we can see, which are that pale blue. A really pale blue. We'll do the same on the other wings as well, and also around the body. Ignore this section. That's going to be for our Payne's Grey colour we got mixed up down there. Oh, and then once you've done that, give it a quick dry with a hairdryer, and do that from a distance, just so you don't get the paper too hot, and then we can start on the other colours. Okay, it's nice and dry. And we go for our other version of the same colour. The one that's got a little bit more ultramarine violet in, so the phthalo blue, ultramarine violet, still very watery. That's where you can apply it to individual sections within the wing. Take some of that paint off actually. I don't want to overload the brush when I'm doing this. When you look around the wings you can see different sections, can't you? So on the stipple this colour in, I don't want to paint any details as such. I've got the details already on the paper. But I don't want to leave lines in between in places. Do know it's lighter towards the left hand side of this wing. And it gets deeper in tone the further along it goes, probably to about there. A few more down below, allowing that lighter line to show through, that lighter blue we just put on there. So it might be best to sort of define the edge first of all. Work out where you want to go with that paint. Not too much on the brush though. And then allow that lighter colour to show through. If you do miss some lines here and there, we can just lift some paint off later in order to create those lines. In fact, I might show you how to do that as well. So stay tuned. There's another technique I'm going to show you today. The lifting off process. I'll do that actually. Yeah, why not? Now you know what you've got to do. Let's do a little bit more. Just trying to reserve some of those lighter blue lines that we can see there. And they're only just visible, I know. Okay, and once again, take your time. Just fine-tuning this area here. It was a bit too high up, like a big lump like that, which is no good. So we can play with those paints out a little bit more before we start to lift off some paint. We shall leave this area down here pale. Because it is. It is. Honest. Honest. Now then, lifting off details, you can use a size 00 brush, something like this one here. Lightly wet it, like so. You have some kitchen roll in your hand as well, ready to go. Then you can very lightly lift off some details. So with a damp clean brush, you can keep going over the same line time and time again. And then lift. I've taken off a small amount of paint there. And that will remove a little bit of paint in places. Now the only thing is, phthalo blue is a staining pigment. So because of that, it doesn't lift that well. But we don't need to lift much off, do we? Not really. We're not trying to get back to sort of the white of the paper. You can use a dedicated lifting off brush, something like this one here. This one's by Rosemary & Co. And it's one called the Eradicator. And that one is a small size. You can barely read the writing on there now. So if I use that one, slightly harsher, slightly stiffer bristle brush, you can try that to lift off a little bit of paint, but you've got to be very careful with it. If you take off too much, you can just add a bit more paint on once it's dry. So we've got a line coming down here. And you can see, just by doing that, I've got a line there as well. And that's how you can lift off a little bit of paint if you want to, by using either a size 00 or a dedicating lifting off brush like that one there. Right, I'm going to go for my Payne's Grey next. Remember, this is also very watery. Take most of the paint off. We can add that to this area here. Very lightly though. Just a touch of it. It's around there. Take some more off. Then that second barb we can see on the wings, that very light bar. Just tap it in. Don't completely cover it though. Leave gaps in between here and there. And then down this side as well. Try to maintain the white edge to these wings here. See what I can see? A little bit of brown there. So I want to get some burnt umber. So a touch of that. Pop it in there. Look. Don't need a great deal. Just drop in a touch of burnt umber in here. Too much on the brush. Give it a tap. And I think also in there. Now the Persik area, what I want to do with that, just add some colour over the top. I know, simple. Lightly remix it again, make sure it's definitely watery enough. A couple of drops of water in there, that should do it. Now when you add this on, all you need to do, add it to the bottom first of all. Do the same on all of them. And we'll lightly blend it up with a damp, clean brush. We'll add it in there where it's really dark anyway. And then down here, just a hint around there. I'll blend it when I've run out of paint. I'm still using my size 4 brush. Clean, lightly dampened. And then, very lightly, start in the lightest parts of each bud there. Then just gently grab the edge of that pink. I'm going to blend that in a little bit more because that edge is quite dark in there, isn't it? Just to blend it a touch. For the lighter areas, all I want to do, so for example this one here, I'm going to dampen in the white of the paper, then catch the edge of that pink there, look, and bring it up. If it's not enough, just give it a bit of a gentle persuasion with a touch more colour. Clean brush again. Then dampen it. I want it to be richer towards the bottom of each section, then lighter as it goes higher. That will then give the impression of a shape, won't it? And look around where some of those are quite dark, aren't they? So you can more or less fill those in, but with a lighter version of the same colour. Remember, we've got the detail underneath, and that detail also creates shape. But we don't need to think too much about the overall shapes, more so the colour. So where it's richer and where it's paler. Then go for the green. Then painting that one little bud there. Do note we've got a bit of pink in there as well. I'm going to get a small amount of sap green and add that just to the central part. Just a hint of it. Then grab some of the pink remix. Starting to part company in there, isn't it? Touch of pink in here. Then back to the burnt umber, which I've got in there now. Touch of that around here. Let's see how it goes. Around there maybe. Yeah, that'll do. Lightly blend it there. Lightly blend it as well into the bottom part of this bud here. Just so it blends together. And then, so it's seamless between the two, get some green. Add that in. And blend the two together there, the brown and the green. Now I do have a playlist all about the pen and wash technique. Have a look to the right hand corner of the screen, just up there, look. And have a look at that video there. And have a go. I'll see you there.